guys, we are the Psych NP group, a trio of 3 Psych NPs that bring different perspectives about the world of mental health care. Together, we hope to help elevate the Psych NP profession by providing education and tips to succeed that we wish we had when we first started in this career. To start off, I want to introduce myself. I am the Curious Psych NP. As an RN, I worked in inpatient psych for a number of years. I was a charge nurse. I did management there before transitioning on into a Psych Nurse Practitioner role. And now I work predominantly with the homeless and underserved population. I also do private practice on the side, and I teach. And I'm going to pass it off to the Psych NP.
All right, guys. So, hey, guys, I'm the Psych NP. You guys may have seen me from YouTube, TikTok. Don't post too much on there, and Instagram. I just recreated an account there at the Psychiatric NP. So, a little experience or backstory on me. So, I graduated in 2014. I've been an RN. I was an RN for 5-6 years. Did ICU experience, and then I worked in inpatient psychiatry. Graduated in 2019 in February, and I've been in Psych NP since. So, about 2 years now, getting close. I run my own psychiatric private practice in outpatient psych. I love it. It's something that I really love to do. And that's all the backstory on me.
Perfect. Thanks, Fabius. So I'm Life of the Psych NP, YouTube, Instagram, definitely can find me there. Board certified Psych NP for probably around 3 years now. Currently working private practice and then crisis stabilization, urgent care. I can definitely go on and on about that, but we'll just keep it short right now. My background, I've worked in psych, I worked in ER, trauma certified, et cetera, all of those things. So I kind of want to bring in the medical side plus the psych side and wanted to give you my perspective. I got my DNP recently, so I can give you a little bit more information about that. So this is the biggest thing, is us being able to kind of show our perspective, give you guys ideas on what we never had. And I feel if we're able to kind of shed light on that, we'll give you a better perspective on if this career is for you or which area you want to work in. So yeah, I definitely truly believe this is going to be an awesome experience for all of you guys.
All right. So guys, let's get it started. So we're getting a lot of questions from you guys. And the first big question we want to talk about today was, do we recommend getting psych nursing experience prior to becoming a Psych NP? What do you guys think?
I think the biggest thing is, yes, you have to get experience. No ifs, ands, or buts. I think the biggest thing is being able to kind of expose yourself to this population. Not everyone likes psych. And there's a whole reason why no one wanted to go psych in the first place, right? So I think it's not a lot of people didn't want to go into it because everyone's going to be labeled as crazy, so to speak. And not a lot of people can deal with this population. Not a lot of people actually want to just take care of this population until Psych NP started to become more popular. And then everyone started to go this way and be able to say, oh, maybe I should get experience, maybe I don't need experience. But at the end of the day, I definitely do believe you need to get experience, just because this population is so vulnerable. And by being able to understand how to treat them, how to take care of them, then it's going to put you to the next level and elevate your level. Yeah. So elevate your status into actually being able to take care of these patients. Yeah, I think it's definitely something you need to get.
Yeah, I mean, I get a lot of questions on this, guys. So, you know, I'm now on the employer side, looking to hire new Psych NPs. And if I look at someone's resume and I don't see any history of working in psych, it's going to be, you know, I'm probably not going to even look at your resume, you know, and I get that some people might have this passion for it, but I really like to see that you want to do psych. You've been doing it before. You definitely know why you want to do it. Because I think a lot of things in our profession now, it's turning to people wanting it for the money. They think it's easier, you know, and people will say, oh, they worked ER, that they have psych experience. And I'm sorry if it offends you, but you know, you might have a little bit, but it's not like working in outpatient or inpatient psych, you know, and no matter what, if you get inpatient psych experience, it's going to help you as a student because you're going to know these medications better. You're going to also know the effects of it, you know, while you're there. And then, so when you prescribe it as a Psych NP, you're going to see the real effects of it. I think there's just so many benefits. You know, my first job as a Psych NP, they asked me specifically if I had psych nursing experience. And they told me if I didn't, they wouldn't even have looked at my resume. But that's also kind of the same way that I'm looking at it now.
I want to.
Yeah, coming from an education standpoint, so I get a lot of requests to precept. And the same thing, if they don't have any psych nursing experience, I won't even consider them because for me, from education, that's basically me having to train them from the ground up. And that's not the level they should be at. It's inherently a psych nurse practitioner. You're supposed to be a nurse practitioner. You're supposed to already be a practicing nurse in that specialty. If you're coming from a totally random specialty, like, yes, of course, there's psych patients everywhere, but unless you actually work in that environment, you're not going to know how to de-escalate a patient verbally. You know, you're not going to be comfortable if a schizophrenic patient is going off on you. You're not really going to know how to handle that unless you've been in that situation so many times. It's like an automatic muscle for you. If somebody's danger to themselves, danger to others, what do you say to them to help calm them down? At what point do you know if somebody is truly in crisis or if they're asking for help or whatever it is? And secondly, you bring up a really good point. You know, medication-wise, you've never seen EPS, you've never seen tardive dyskinesia, you've never seen these things unless you actually work in this kind of setting. So how are you going to know as somebody outside coming in if you personally are suited for this field unless you actually work in the field? It's a lot of time and money to invest in becoming a psych nurse practitioner. And so for me as a preceptor, one of the first barriers to preventing that is if you don't have any psych nursing experience, you're not going to be able to find a good preceptor, which is automatically going to stop you from ever graduating, getting a certificate, and working as a psych nurse practitioner.
And want to shed light on like the medical side where they say, a lot of people say, oh, I've dealt with psych patients, I've done this in the ER. It's not the same. Having background in the ICU and ER, you're pretty much just isolating the patient, letting them go have their one-on-one, and you're not even talking to them because you're so busy elsewhere and taking care of other patients. Especially like I have a trauma background and I'd be assigned to a certain amount of patients, and then I'd see my psych patient, talk to them, do the admission, give them the meds. But other than that, if they're not going off, they're just going to be with my one-on-one the whole entire time, and I'm dealing with the other set of patients around us. So you can't necessarily say that, oh, you have psych experience in the ER, because realistically speaking, you're just giving them away to your one-on-one. They're taking care of them, and if you need to give meds, you'll be in there to give them meds unless they escalate. And then once they escalate, then you give them their medications and then ship them off to somewhere else. So it's not the same amount of experience, especially compared to the ER, to that inpatient setting, or even the outpatient setting is not even the same, I don't think.
That's what you bring up a good point. In ER, they really do that. It's as soon as they escalate beyond a certain point, it's just medications like B52, you're done, right? You're sedated, that's it. Just get out of my face, right? In inpatient, outpatient, it's like you can't do that. There's a much higher tolerance for this kind of behavior. So you have to be really, really good at therapeutic communication. And that's the biggest difference, I think, between psych nursing versus other specialties. Other specialties, you don't focus so much on that. Your interventions are a lot more physical, like your assessments are all checking like head to toe, like neuro assessments, all that. In psych, you don't really do that because for the most part, they're all walkie-talkie. So your entire assessment is based on verbal communication. And if you don't develop that as a psych nurse, it will be very, very difficult for you to succeed as a psych nurse practitioner, because again, that's your entire assessment. If you don't know how to talk to a patient, you can't help them.
Right. And for a lot of us too, like, for us and our love of psych, it started a long time ago when we were in nursing school, and we were doing psych clinicals, and that was our first time ever doing it. We just don't decide, maybe, mid in our career, okay, let's try psych. Maybe as long as you try psych, then you'd have a better idea of what it's like. And then maybe, because I went from ICU to, inpatient psych, I didn't go straight into psych. And the reason why was because everyone tells you to work medical first. You don't want to, lose any skills. You want to gain skills. But for us, it's like, the love of psych really started way back before we even started, the Psych NP program or anything like that.
Yeah, I totally agree.
All right.
On that note too, though, I'm gonna clarify too. Not all psych experience is the same either. If you do inpatient psych, 1 year of inpatient psych is worth like 5 years of outpatient psych experience. So I would say inpatient psych is the gold standard.
I think there's different things. I agree with you, gold standard in that sense, but I think depending on where you want to work as a Psych NP, that kind of, you can get experience elsewhere and still find it valuable. If you work in like an urgent care setting, I work with a lot of RNs in the crisis stabilization and psych urgent care, and they do a lot of the assessments. So they're doing all of the intake documents. So they're getting experience in that sense by being able to ask questions, see what's going on with the patient, and being able to do that. Obviously, they don't do the medication side of things. So that's kind of where they're hindered in their experience. But the intake process, the assessment process, I think that's going to be extremely valuable, especially if you want to work in the outpatient setting as an NP, because that's kind of what we do. That's our bread and butter, being able to assess properly and then be able to kind of take that assessment and prescribe medications accordingly, depending on how good your assessment is overall. So if you're able to kind of lock that down, gain all of that knowledge in the outpatient setting, urgent care, so to speak, then I think it's going to be extremely valuable for when you transition into a Psych NP in the outpatient setting, maybe not so much in the inpatient setting as a Psych NP, but it's going to be valuable to be able to do that and gain skills that way.
No, absolutely. Bottom line, any psych experience is better than no psych experience.
Yeah, I agree. So let me ask you guys this. Do you feel that if someone is to come into becoming a Psych NP, they don't have experience in psych, what do you feel like would be the next best specialty that can kind of transition them into being a good Psych NP? Have you guys thought about that?
Are they already a nurse practitioner in another field, or?
No, they're already an RN, and you know how people are transitioning, wanting to be Psych NPs because of whatever reason they might be. We're kind of the new CRNAs, right? Everyone wanted to be a CRNA before, but then now that they notice how hard it is, they're kind of transitioning into a Psych NP role, right? So do you feel that there's a certain specialty that might prepare them for it?
Yeah, I mean, for me, guys, like just from my experiences, I don't really think so. I think no matter what, psych is psych, and all these other specialties are other specialties. And there might be one better than the other, but I'm not sure. I've only worked, IMC, ICU, and then inpatient psych. But from my experiences, I mean, everything that I learned from inpatient psych, I still take with me to this day. From ICU, I mean, not so much, guys, right? I mean, we might check their vital signs, we might look at some labs, but for the most part, I don't think I really took too much from that, and it's helping me here.
I would say that's an interesting question. Ultimately, I don't think you can replace pure psych nursing experience. I would say get a per diem job, honestly, in psych. Do inpatient psych, do psych ER, or even do like an outpatient community health psych or something. It's because you're committing yourself to a lifetime career of working as a psych nurse practitioner. So it's really an investment. And if you're not willing to commit the time and experience to becoming a psych nurse because you're in such a rush to become a psych nurse practitioner, I feel like it's kind of just a reflection on the kind of practice that you're setting yourself up for. If you truly, truly want to be a good provider, you really should be aiming for the type of experiences that will be giving you the best experience possible. So I don't think it's any compromising on that.
I agree. I think if I were going to look at it from a different perspective, as you know, I love looking at both sides of things. I think I want to say labor and delivery, women's health, and then pediatrics. The reason being is because they have their own subspecialty. Like within inpatient psych, you barely get any children. So working on a peds floor, a lot of these patients, if they are psych, they kind of have to go to the peds floor depending on what's going on. Say, for example, they overdose, they're transferred to the peds because we have to, in the ER, we transfer some patients to peds because there are hardly any peds or children, adolescent ER or psych units out there. So that's kind of where they ship them off. So you can kind of get a sense of how to take care of the patients because psychiatry rounds on them also. And then you kind of do have that rapport with the psychiatrist and seeing what's going on. Same thing with L&D. If they're pregnant, we typically are like, whoa, we'll stay away from them, right? Especially in the inpatient setting, you don't want to have, you barely get any inpatient pregnant people, especially if they're further along. So if they're psychotic, especially while they're still pregnant, they still ship them off to L&D. So that's kind of different perspective in that sense. So yeah, but for the most part, at the end of the day, get psych experience, regardless of if it's full-time, per diem, part-time, whatever, get the experience just so you can have a visual of what it takes to actually do what you need to do and take care of these patients.
Yeah. So guys, we have one. Go ahead, Joyce.
No, I was going to say you bring up a really good point. It's true. Like, again, psych patients are everywhere, right? You can't really avoid them. And going off of that, like neuro, you can specialize in movement disorders, like dementia, like you do gero stuff. You're going to see a lot of psych there because same thing. Not a lot of people like to treat that. So there's definitely ways you can navigate it, but it would require you to subspecialize in a more psych niche role than just purely that, whatever it is. What were you gonna say?
Yeah, no,
I
I
have
was
one more thing to say. And if you want to get both sides of it, if you can find a unit where it's Psych or medical psych, that can kind of give you best of both worlds, especially for the people that say, I don't want to lose my skills. You learn the skills in less than a year anyway. So what's there really to lose? You're going to relearn it anyways if you want to transition into another role. So if you want to get into that, go Psych, go into medical psych, and kind of get best of both worlds, and you're dealing with all of that thing. I think that's going to be a really good experience also, because as a Psych NP, we have to balance out certain medical things and be able to understand the medical side of things to be able to truly determine that it's purely mental health that's the cause. So I think it's going to be a great experience. Go ahead, Fabia. Sorry about. Oh,
Yeah, no, we're good. I was going to switch topics, but I went. That was a good talking point. So guys, we're going to talk now about MSN Psych NP versus DNP Psych NP. What would be the best choice? What's the ideal choice? And this is kind of a topic we talk about all the time. I only have my MSN, but I do plan down the line to get my Psych DNP in the future. But right now, guys, I've only been a Psych NP for 2 years, and I think when I have more time, I'll probably try to get my DNP. But what are you guys thinking about these two degrees?
Well, Nardi, why don't you go, since you actually have your DNP? Why did you go back and get it?
If I were gonna start all over again, it all depends on when I look at it. So if I were gonna start all over again now, I would go my MSN first. That's what I did. Realistically, that's what I did. I went my MSN route, and then I got my DNP. I think you have to take advantage of being able to learn the ins and outs as a Psych NP, and then kind of go back to school and determine if you really wanted to be a Psych NP. I wanted to make money right away, so I didn't want to take that extra year long to be able to just stay in school, be an RN, and go the DNP route right away. I wanted to make some money and then still do a part-time program for my DNP. If I were going to do it now, I'd probably still go that route. But if you asked me a few months before I started my MSN and my DNP, I'd probably go the DNP route and just get it over within 3 years, as opposed to what it took me 4 years or 4.5 years total, 2.5 as MSN and then 2 years as a DNP. So that kind of it pretty much comes down to what you want to do. If you know that financial situation, you're good, and you just want to get the DNP degree and get a terminal degree, go that route. But if you're like struggling for money, or you want to make money as soon as possible, get the experience as soon as possible, get the MSN, and then determine from there if you want to get the DNP, because right now it's not mandatory to get it, the DNP, but I know later on they're going to. But for now, I would just get my MSN and DNP. But what do you guys think?
So I'm actually in the process of applying for my DNP right now. And for me, it was a very, very personal choice. When I went to get my MSN, I never thought about getting my DNP. I didn't care about getting that terminal degree or anything like that, because as far as I understood it, realistically speaking, and clinically wise, you get paid the same rate as an MSN or a DNP. I mean, you do the exact same job, so it wasn't that much different. But the reason why I'm applying for it now is because now that I've been in this role for a while, and I know this is something I truly, truly want to do, I'm very passionate about it. I've seen a lot of gaps in care where I feel like my MSN is a little bit limiting. But with a DNP, you have a little bit more authority, you can have a little bit more leadership, so you can do things like public health policy, administration, education, teaching, that kind of thing, if you want to teach at a university level. So those are all goals that I have set for myself personally, in which case the DNP will open up a lot more doors for me than an MSN would. But again, if you don't want to do any of that and you're happy working, at a clinic or inpatient or wherever you are, then an MSN I think should be fine.
Yeah. I mean, a big talking point with this is, as an MSN and you get your Psych NP degree, you're learning the clinical side, right? So a lot of people will tell you, what's the point of getting your DNP? You're not going to really build up on your clinical skills. I mean, that's what you came to do. But DNP obviously opens a lot of doors, right? It is our terminal degree. And I think down the line, like Left of the Psych NP said, the DNP is probably going to be mandated. I know they say that about the associate's degree and the bachelor's, and it still hasn't happened yet, but it will happen, I'm sure. But I just think in a way, it's like, for us to get our profession to really be looked at from others as a reputable degree, maybe a DNP will be the move. I just think right now for me, I've only been an NP for 2 years. I do plan on getting my DNP. I think also for more personal reasons. I don't know how much I'll gain from it. I just do think that at least there's some. I think there's like a terminal project at the end of it where you can kind of hopefully help on some policies that we relate to psych that we can really help develop, because there's a lot of issues right now, and whether it's inpatient psych, outpatient psych, just in general, mental health is now becoming the forefront. Before it was kind of like took a back seat. There's always a medical side, and then mental health was like the redheaded stepchild. Mm-hmm. But nowadays, mental health is really coming to force. You see all these celebrities committing suicide, or people talking about having depression or bipolar disorder. Mental health is really becoming to the forefront for the first time in a long time. It's so stigmatized in all these other countries, even still stigmatized here in America. But I think down the line, the more we kind of elevate our profession, we can obviously talk about it more and have a better platform. Obviously there's psychiatrists that can speak at these conferences, and hopefully us as Psych NPs, DNPs can also put our weight into it.
Yeah, I totally agree. I when I first started my DNP program, I kind of just wanted the terminal degree. Like, it's a DNP, I can do it online, great, blah, 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 blah. But I thought it was just a fluff degree that I just wanted to get it, right? But as I started to get into the process of actually taking these courses, applying myself, promoting actual nursing, it started to open my eyes in terms of knowing what we can actually do as a whole, as a community of nurses, and how we can promote nursing as a whole, especially when you're comparing it to other professions out there, and how it's just going to elevate us even more, because at the end of the day, as nurses, we want to be able to promote nursing, because when you're comparing it to other degrees, everyone just looks at us like what Fabia said, as a stepchild, and we're not necessarily known amongst the medical community. But by being able to kind of establish ourselves and say that, oh, we're doctors and we're professionals in our profession, and that we're the experts in our profession, then it's going to elevate the whole nursing community as a whole, especially amongst other places. And yes, you're going to hear people say like, oh, you're doctor nurses, but yes, we are experts in our field. We practice a different style of medicine or nursing, so to speak. So you always have to think that this is going to raise our profession as a whole. And I think it's awesome, and everyone should get the DNP eventually. But everyone's different. It just depends on what you want to do overall.
Yeah, everybody has a different path for sure. I was talking to, I think that's a great, very inspirational thing that you said, life expectancy. No, for real. It is really true that ultimately that's should be collectively our whole goal as nurses. We're all representations of our entire profession. So we should all be striving to really elevate each other and bring each other up. And so, we are each other's role models, basically. I was, last note on that, I was talking to somebody in Massachusetts, and as you may or may not know, Massachusetts recently got full practice authority, which is yay. But what they were saying was that actually in Massachusetts, they pretty much predominantly already moved towards DNP. So I think that would be something to watch out for too, wherever your region is what the market looks like. Mm-hmm. So like over in California, it's still predominantly master's degree nursing is totally fine. But over in Massachusetts, it's a totally different story. So it might just depend on your region. So ultimately, I think everybody should have in their head, like a DNP should be the step they should be taking. But how long it takes you to get there is, I think, for right now, it's a very personal decision.
I agree. Do you feel like it would change your practice in any way, or in the Psych NP in any way for your private practice if you got your DNP?
I'm not really sure. It's difficult being an owner because right now I'm just hiring people, and I've been a Psych NP, but I just think I don't know if it will help me in any way. If I ever want to do like teaching, I've taught at Johns Hopkins, the Masters of Nursing program as a Psych NP, and that was for behavioral health. But I think in terms of policies, I think that would be the only benefit is, I could really look at what's wrong with outpatient psych or inpatient psych, whatever I would choose to study as a DNP, and see what I can kind of fix. For right now, it wouldn't really affect my salary. It wouldn't really affect, maybe it would, I guess, my credentials of having a DNP, but I don't think it would affect me too much.
I heard some places, depending on if they have their DNP, it actually improves their reimbursement rate.
Yeah, I read on that online too. I'm not really sure about it. I just read what people said on Facebook.
Yeah.
But I said that if they do, it's very minimal. But at least in Maryland, I think
$1
I don't think it
or $2,
changes too much.
I got raised for getting my DNPs like 5%, but still something.
Yeah, that's so that, hey, we'll take it.
But what I will tell you is just having my own little private practice, that a lot more patients are more receptive to my input, especially knowing that I have a doctorate degree. And then more and more patients are, like I have two different profiles that kind of show our bigger practice and then my personal. A lot more people hit up my personal because it does have the term doctorate in there, as opposed to the group. So that kind of gives you perspective on if it will impact your practice at the end of the day. Because realistically speaking, if I'm going to look at a profile too, like as a patient, I'd probably want to go towards a person that has their doctorate compared to the MSN. I'm not saying it's going to be way better, like you're going to receive better care, but I'll probably choose that one first, as opposed to kind of someone that's naturally prepared and kind of there's nothing that really makes them stick out compared to other people. So,
I mean, that makes a lot of sense.
Personally.
Yeah, I mean, I think for me too, it's like if I'm looking for a provider and I saw someone with their doctorate, I think I'd be more inclined to see them, but I also think, you look at other things too, but I also feel that's a pretty big thing. And I think just from my perspective, all I know is from my perspective, I don't know what it would be like if I had my DNP. Maybe it would be crazy. I'd have like 3 times the amount of patients and you never know, but we'll see, that'll be something down the line we'll talk about.
And then obviously you look at background and what they have experienced, and kind of brings us back to the first question is, would you want someone that's never had any psych experience and all of a sudden became a Psych NP, or would you want someone that's experienced it, worked in several different settings, and became a Psych NP? I would choose a person with experience at the end of the day. I wouldn't want someone that has just L&D experience, even though I said L&D might be the next best thing, but I wouldn't want someone that just has purely L&D experience and not necessarily, and then being my Psych NP and be like, it's kind of iffy in that sense. But at the end of the day, everyone's different. Everyone has different perspectives of what they want as their provider. But if I kind of want to look at the other side of things, that's kind of my thought process.
Yeah. I mean, going back just to the psych experience again, I know we talked about it earlier, but I've only precepted three or four students now. I had one student that didn't have any psych experience at all. And I could definitely tell the difference in knowledge base versus the student that already worked in inpatient psych for 4 years. And I mean, it's just so it's like drastic. These people know the medications, and maybe it's not that like that for everybody, right? But I have such a small sample size. But I definitely saw how much somebody didn't know and how much someone really did know. And I think just taking that into account, guys, that's that's pretty important.
You can't teach that stuff either. You can't teach somebody how to talk to a patient. That's something you build up over experience. You can teach somebody medications. They can memorize that. Yeah. But you can't teach somebody how to build rapport. And that's the biggest thing in psych nursing or psych. Basically, you have to be able to build that rapport with the patient. But if you're super awkward, you don't really know how to talk to somebody who's suicidal, that's it.
Right.
I agree. I totally agree.
All right, guys. Is that everything? Is that all of our questions for today?
I think that's pretty much, I think we've gone really long into it. And I'm glad that we were able to expand on these topics, because these are huge topics that a lot of people ask us. And I think we just wanted to kind of open up or shed light on kind of these two questions for now, and then continuing more. We love taking questions, so definitely feel free to leave a comment below on what typical questions you'd like us to, or what questions you'd like us to answer, and we'll be more than welcome to answer it as more episodes start to come out. Did you have something to say? Is Curious Psych NP?
Wait, who are you talking about?
You.
Me? I was going to move on to the next thing, but actually, that's a good point, because we did actually receive a ton of questions and we did not have time to answer all of them today. So we'll try to answer them throughout. We'll maybe do like an entire Q&A episode. So if there's questions that you want answered, like Darty said, just post it in comments below. We all have Instagram. We all have YouTube. So message us and we'll try compiling them, and we'll try to get through all of your questions.
Yeah. Down the line, guys, we also want to have some special guests. I know you're gonna be tired of seeing us on 3 faces since we'll be here almost every week. But we're gonna have some new people coming on the show, and it'll be a surprise.
Yeah. Don't forget to like and subscribe.
Follow us on TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube. Okay. I only have 7 followers right now on Instagram, guys, so you guys gotta follow.
And now, before we end, we have a very, very, very special surprise for you guys. You guys are the first people. We haven't even seen this yet, so it's gonna be very exciting. So, as some of you guys might know, we recently published an ebook called the Psych NP Handbook, which is geared towards new psych nurse practitioners and psych nurse practitioner students, which was a huge hit. So thank you guys all so much for helping to support us. We really spent a lot of time working on this, and we're so glad at the reception that we've gotten. It's really helped us, you know, be motivated to continue to put out a lot of content, because we really do believe in the value of us supporting each other. We really want to help you guys the way that we wish people helped us out when we first started. So a lot of this information that we're sharing with you is stuff that we have gathered over the years. But that being said, we've gotten a lot of requests for a hard copy of our ebook, and it is something that we had discussed about and we had always wanted to do. Well, I have in here the very first copy of our book. I'm actually gonna.
Joyce, are we signing this with our signatures, or what are we doing?
Oh yeah, let's do it.
I don't know. Comment below if you guys want to.
Comment below. Hey! That was good.
We'll do a giveaway or something. I don't know. Okay. So
we should do a giveaway.
We should do a giveaway.
What do you guys think? Comment below.
If we get to how many likes will we do a giveaway?
We're gonna have like 5 likes. We're gonna have no subscribers.
Yeah, Ro wasn't built in a year, you know. So
That's
we got this. We got this.
Gang,
All
gang.
right.
Oh shoot!
I don't know what that is.
Let's
All
go.
right.
It's like a luxury book.
Ooh.
Jeez. What?
It feels very nice, guys. Very nice.
Is that Gucci or is that Louis? What is it? Joy?
Hermes.
Oh, Hermes. Hermes Link. Okay.
Yeah. So it's not a. So this is just our prototype, actually. So again, you guys are very, very first people to see this. So it's not actually like a kind of hard copy, I think. So it has the About Us on the back. And if you flip through it,
Man.
it's got everything.
It's a good size too. I'm glad.
It's a good size, yeah. So this is 8.5 by 11, so your typical printer paper.
I wonder if you could put like punch holes into it and probably not.
Like perforations.
Maybe.
It's possible here. Ugh, I don't know if you guys can see that. Yeah, but I mean, it should be pretty easy for you to like make photocopies, because you know, for people who already have the book, you guys might already know this, but there's a lot of good tidbits. So like, here's some medication.
A lot.
Try to put a lot of pearls.
There's a lot of pearls in here, and it's very easy to like make photocopies of this if you want to like paste it up all over your house as wallpaper. There's also like
While you're taking your exams.
So honestly, this looks pretty good, guys. I'm pretty happy with this.
Yeah, it's cool to see it in an actual book form. You know, we've been selling it via the ebook, but it's pretty cool just to see it.
Yeah, so it's pretty
Look at the
slim,
back,
so
too.
it will fit very nicely. Makes a very good coffee table book.
Yeah, for
It's
sure.
very calming, very relaxing. So yay!
Yeah, and guys, we have a lot of other projects on the way. We actually have a how to start a Psych NP practice course coming out pretty soon. We have a lot of things we want to help you guys out, so we'll be good.
But yeah.
Hey. All right. Well, we want to thank you guys so much for taking the time to join us on the start of our brand new journey. Please continue to support us so we can keep creating this really cool content for you guys. Any questions or comments, please comment down below, DM us. Nice things, please. Any last minute things you guys want to say?
None. I thank you guys for everything. Continue to follow us. And
Yeah, thank you guys for all the support. The Psych NP out.
Should we have a what's it?
Let's keep going.
I'm back. I thought it'd be pretty cool for the ending, but you should.
What's it called?
guys, we are the Psych NP group, a trio of 3 Psych NPs that bring different perspectives about the world of mental health care. Together, we hope to help elevate the Psych NP profession by providing education and
It just takes one mistake. That's why it's the worst thing.
No, this is me during the